Hi everybody, Tracy Monty Smith with SE Coaching. So very glad to see you here joining us in another episode of this video series. And I'm taking this one in a little bit of a different direction from what we have been going, in that I'm going to continue talking about some of the fear and courage stuff that we talked about last week and somewhat the week before. And I want to bring it around and actually make it kind of personal. So I've decided to kind of open myself up to all of you and talk about where fear has been showing up for me. And it's been showing up for me in the past around the same issue. It's still showing up for me around this issue. And so I just felt the need to go ahead and share all of this with you. And I really don't know where all this is going to land, but we'll see, right? So I was actually in a coaching session with a client, a horse coaching session with a client to be exact. And we were talking about fear and courage, and how courage is the what we use to combat our fear, and how courage steps us up into those levels of capability, like we talked about last week on the video, and then how that ultimately sets us up and steps us into that ultimate, which is confidence, and how the fear had to show up before we could make those steps into capability and confidence. And she was really interested in all of that, and we discussed it for a while, and then she decided to go ahead and take it into the question around her specific fear, into one of the horse coaches, and she chose Merlin. And you guys have met Merlin because that video has also been released, the Meet Merlin. So if you haven't had a chance to see that video, I encourage you to go back and check out the Meet Merlin video, so you have a little bit better idea of which horse coach it was that she was dealing with, and a little bit about his personality. And so she stepped into the pen with him, and we were probably, I don't think we were even a full minute into the session when all of a sudden I just felt all of this overwhelming, crashing fear myself. And it just really caught me off guard, because I knew that we'd been talking about it, but I wasn't expecting for me to experience my own personal fear. And so I did a really quick check to make sure, first of all, that my client was safe, and that the horse was safe, Merlin was safe, and everything there was fine. So I realized that this fear that I was feeling is something that I was going to need to sit down with and process and figure out what it really was, and where it was really coming from, and what it was trying to say to me. So the fact that I was in a client session, I decided to go ahead and pack that fear away temporarily while I finished the session with my client. So we finished that up, and I'm not even going to go into any of the details around her session with Merlin, other than to say that it was amazing, because you know what, they always are. So, you know, I finished the session and walked her out to her car, and took a breath. When I turned around, I took a breath, and I faced Merlin's pen, and really felt that this was something that I needed to get to the bottom of. I needed to figure out what all this meant for me. So I went over to his pen, and in the meantime, the barn staff had fed him his hay, and he was very happily engrossed in having his dinner. And I just climbed into the pen and sat down on the ground and leaned up against the fence, and I just watched him eat. And I decided to bring that fear back to the forefront and really unpack it and see, you know, what that really meant, and why the fear was coming up for me, and what I needed to do with it. And so as I sat there and I was sitting there and watching Merlin, and I realized that a lot of my fear and vulnerability comes back to what I'm doing now. And in the life coaching, I've been doing it for about a year, and it has really become a very big part of what I do, and I love working with my clients one-to-one. But I decided a couple months ago to kind of step outside all of that and present this stuff to you guys online. And I knew that in order to do that, I needed to do video, and I needed to write, and I needed to be creative, and I needed to put myself out there, which meant I needed to put my views out there and my opinions and the things that have worked for me and the things that have worked for my clients, and knowing that there are people out there that don't agree with what I have to say or what I have to teach. And as I sat there and was sitting there with Merlin, I realized that fear is something that constantly is there with me, and it just keeps reappearing. And for some reason that day, it really reappeared and it really hit me in the face. And I realized that as we were talking about fears, and I was working with my client about how we needed to go through those, and my fears are around being on video is a big one. It's a big one for everybody. 2 months ago, if you would have told me that I'd be sitting here not only on video with you, but on video with you bearing a part of my heart and soul, I would have told you were insane, that there was no way that was ever going to happen. But here we are. So as I sat there with it, and Merlin, he stopped eating and he kept looking over at me while I was processing through this, and he kept looking over at me. And it was about this time that he came over and he stood right in front of me, and I'm still sitting on the ground, and he just starts with his nose, he just starts nuzzling my knee, just back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and nuzzling my knee. And as he's doing that, I started thinking about the conversation that I had with my client around courage, and about the blog that I'd written around courage, and how it helps us to step into the capability and the confidence that we need, that the fear initially brought up, and how that helps us to grow and become the next highest version and better version of who we are meant to be and what we are meant to bring to the world and present to the world. And when I came to that conclusion, and I said, okay, now I need to unpack my courage. I need to find out what I have to bring to this whole scenario around my fear of putting myself out here so publicly around this work. And as soon as I came to this conclusion and kind of figured it out, Merlin just, he stopped. He stopped nuzzling my knee and rubbing back and forth on my knee, and he just looked at me and he gave this huge sigh. He just gave this huge sigh and turned around and walked back to his feeder and continued his meal. Now, I need to tell you that Merlin is, work is not high on his bucket list, but eating is very, very high on his bucket list. And so the fact that he took that time out from eating, from a meal that was in front of him, and came and stood with me, it was less than 5 minutes, but that's what I needed from him, and he helped provide me the message. And by him turning and walking away from me, I knew that I had hit on it. I had hit on it, that I need to discover what my courage is around doing this. And so what I did is I took the 3 questions that we talked about last week in last week's video, as well as on last week's blog. So feel free to go back and review all of that. And I asked those questions to myself, and I came up with the answers. And I did all this while I was still sitting in Merlin's pen and working with him, watching him eat, really watching him eat. But at that point, he had pretty much told me I was on the right track. So I wrote down some things that I wanted to make sure that I say, and what this experience brought to me and how it worked for me. So the first question, like I had told you in last week's video, is I asked myself, I said, what is it that I'm most afraid of? And I just kept asking that question and digging deeper and deeper. And the surface answer to that question was that I'm afraid to be on video. Okay. I'm afraid of putting myself out there for that. And so then I asked myself again, I said, okay, so what are you most afraid of about being on video? And so I just kept kind of unpacking that particular question. The bottom line basically came out to be that my fear around doing all of this and providing this work so publicly to all of you is around judgment, around what other people will think, about, God forbid, what other people will say, about whether or not I'm going to get a nasty comment or a nasty email calling me out on what I'm doing and what I'm providing and what I'm saying. And that bottom baseline fear is not mine alone. I realize that so many other people have these same fears around, if not the same exact topic, around the whole idea of what other people are thinking and what other people are saying and how other people are or are not judging us. And so I've decided that I'm also going to take this a little further in some more videos and some more blogs about why that shouldn't matter and what we can do about it. So having answered that question, I went on to my second question. And the second question is, what would you be doing right now if you were not afraid? And the answer to that was crystal clear. And when I had this answer, Merlin all of a sudden jerks his head up out of the feeder and turns him and just looks at me. And then he just blows out through his nose, and then he goes back to eating. And again, not a behavior that he does on a normal evening meal. And the answer to that, what would I be doing right now, is I would be doing what I'm doing right now. And that is, I would be shooting this video. I didn't do my hair first, put on a little basic makeup just because I had a meeting before this that I needed to actually be in public. And so I did do that and just decided I'm going to dive in and I'm going to be vulnerable and I'm going to open up and I'm going to share all of this with you. And I hope that one of the messages that you're all taking from this is that everybody feels fear, that we all are fearful around something. And I'm hoping that by me sharing my fear, that it can help you feel strong in your fear and to step into your courage and be able to take that courage to the next step of capability and then on to the next step of confidence. Because I know that having done these videos, I'm capable at doing the videos. Is my confidence still there? No, probably not yet, but it's getting there. It's getting so that, it just is what it is. And it's just part of my job and part of what I'm doing and part of what I'm sharing. But I would say that I'm higher on the confidence scale, but I haven't completely blown it out of the water, because if I had, the fear wouldn't still be there. So the fear around it is giving me the message that I'm not at this high confidence level yet, but the fear has sent the message to bring out my courage, that I'm working on the capability and that we're making those steps up into confidence in doing all of this. So the third question was, how would my life be different if I overcame the fear? And that one took me a little while to wrestle with, but the bottom line of that one that I came down to is that my life would be different because I would be celebrating wins every single moment of every day, of every interaction that I have with my personal one-to-one clients, whether it's face-to-face or on the phone, my group clients, again, whether it's virtual or in my personal workshops where they come and work with me and the horses personally, that I would get to celebrate so many wins and to know that I am bringing this work and bringing my heart into their lives and helping them become the next better version of themselves. Because that's, for me, that is the end game, is to just keep leveling up, and to be here to help other people to do that same thing, to level up into their lives and to be able to realize that that baseline of where they started is just better. It's just better every single month. It's better every single day. It's better every single minute and second because of things that I've been able to bring to them. And when I came to that realization that that was my bottom line, and that's what makes me happy, and that's what I would get to do by overcoming this fear. I just felt this release. I just felt this release of, okay, so this is your true purpose for doing this. And to do that, you have to stop worrying about the naysayers. You have to start worrying about if someone's going to think you're cray cray, or think that, you know, your hair's too short, or your hair's too long, or you smile too much, or you don't smile enough, or you talk with your hands, which I do a lot of. And so by realizing that none of that matters, none of what anybody else thinks or says matters in the long run of where I want to be by overcoming this fear. And I realized that for me is bringing myself to the next best me, to the next best level of who I am, being able to bring this work into the world and being able to do this work myself. And so that's my story. That's my story around fear, and it's one of many fears, and I'm here to tell you that once you conquer one of them, doesn't mean that another one's not going to raise its head. It absolutely is, and I know that it's going to, and I'm okay with it, because I know that fear is only going to enable me to become confident in another area. And realizing that that's the true message behind fear, is that it's an area in my life. That's the true message behind my fear, that's an area in my life that I can step into, that I need to step up my game, and I need to go through and learn to be capable at it, and get the confidence that I need to in that area of my life. And once I realize that, I feel unstoppable. And I know that the fear is still going to be there, but I also know that I have the tools and I have the knowledge to take me beyond it. And I know it's not going to be easy, and I know it's going to suck, and I know there are going to be some really bad days, and I know, but I still know how to get there. And that's the important thing, and that's what I really, really want for you. So this was a little bit of not even a little bit, this was a huge self-coaching moment for me. But it is a little peek into what life coaching can do for you. It's a little peek into what life coaching with the horses can bring for you. Even though you didn't witness it, you didn't see it, I hope I did a okay job about telling the story, and helping you to be able to visualize Merlin's involvement with it, and the messages that he was able to bring to me, in regarding, yes, you got the fear. Yes, you have the answer. The answer is courage. And yes, your end goal is to bring this to more people. So if you are interested in trying this, if you are interested in getting involved with life coaching at all, but especially life coaching and using the horses and seeing what they have to say, as always, reach out to me. Send me a message at my personal email, Tracy, TRACY, @secoaching.net. You can message me off of my Facebook business page, which is also SE Coaching. There are ways that you can get a hold of me, and I try really, really hard to get back to people and answer them just as quickly as I possibly can when I'm not in a session with a client. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to hearing from you. I'm really forward to hearing your stories around your fears and where they crop up for you, and what courage means to you and what courage looks like to you. We're here for you. The whole team is here for you. Myself, every one of my horse coaches is here for you. Truly, 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 our hope and our dream and our goal is to help you become the next highest version of you, the next best version of you, and to help you overcome the symptoms of divorce that are holding you back. Let's move forward. Thanks for listening to me. Thanks for hearing my story. Thank you for letting me be open and vulnerable to you. And I hope that by my being able to do this helps you to be able to do the same thing. Reach out to me, leave me a comment, private message me if you'd rather, but please share. Let me know how this is affecting you and affecting your life. I really, really, really want to hear from you. until we see each other again next week, have a fantastic, fantastic week and keep moving forward. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.